from the White House, courthouse, to the church house. God is cleaning all three houses. But what about our own house? You know, life and religion has caused great trauma to the souls of warriors. And with all this information readily available, where is the revelation that will heal the souls of the wounded warriors? Well, it's time to raise up the shields of warriors. This is the Way of a Warrior Unbreakable Love podcast. I'm Gina Guy Warren. Today, this is Gina Guy Warren, and I'm with my husband, Brian, Mr. Unbreakable Warren, and we have an amazing, I don't call him a guest. He is a dear friend. He's a brother in the Lord. He's a fellow first-line responder. I mean, he is all of that. We are going to be introducing Buddy Clinton, who is the 170-pound King of the Cage champion.
World champion.
I wish I had the audience. But, you know, we just want to introduce him. He's a law enforcement officer. He's been active for 14 years, both federally, state, and the tribal commission, because he is a member of the Cherokee Nation as well. He is a certified defensive tactics instructor, both federally and state certified. He began jiu-jitsu in June 15th of 1996. He began training, are you ready for this, listeners, with Royce Gracie in April 9th of 2000. And he was part of the first group of black belts awarded by Royce Gracie in September 19th of 2004. My goodness. He began competing for King of the Cage September 5th of 2003, and he's got an MMA record of 11 wins, 5 losses, and 1 draw. Shall I repeat it again? He is the King of the Cage welterweight world champion. He is also a part-time instructor, Soaring Eagle Jiu-Jitsu, Muscogee, Oklahoma, and Relevant Martial Arts in Oklahoma, as well as Code Compliance Officer in Fort Worth, Texas. And for those who are listening via podcast, you're not going to see this promo from their world title fight November 18th of 2021, but those watching the video will. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and play this promo for you, and then we're going to bring on our distinguished fighter champion guest, Buddy Clinton.
He's a veteran of King of the Cage, just like myself. And matter of fact, his instructor is Royce Gracie. Everybody knows Royce Gracie and the history behind Royce Gracie. And I believe he won the first 3 UFCs. So he's one of the original black belts from Royce.
When I found out it was Brian, kind of relaxing. There's not a fighter or a competitor that you could respect more as a person, as a human being, as Brian Warren. Just an outstanding person, the ideal opponent that you would want to compete against, just because of the respect and class he has and that he brings to the cage every time he competes.
I met Buddy, went to Dallas, Texas, Pasadena, Dallas, Texas a few years back, and ran into him, and we had a good time and exchanged numbers and everything like that. Then I found out I was fighting him.
With King of the Cage, my first break, like I said, was September 5th, 2003 with Terry. I stayed pretty active up until around 2012, and then life kicked in. And then I guess the same with Mr. Warren. We both had this itch and wanted to scratch it one more time.
That was just a really cool moment. You don't get those moments in these type of settings, and that's the mutual respect we have for each other.
Try to remember what a fight camp actually was, because it's been a long time since I've done one of these. Definitely feel it more at 44 than I did at 34.
100%. Buddy Clinton will come out fast like he always does. He'll throw 1 or 2 strikes and he'll clinch, and I'll be fighting for defend the takedown. And it's in the scramble. We're gonna be throwing, It's going to be violent. It's going to be fast.
We may not be as fast and as strong as we used to be, but we're a lot smarter, and we've got our mind right where it needs to be. There's a lot of maturity, especially having kids, and a lot of other things in life, especially in my line of work as being law enforcement. You learn to fix your mind. Your mind's your worst enemy.
And I just could probably the fight of the night. I'm assuming it's going to go. I'm assuming it's going to go the distance. If it doesn't, I do plan on finishing up and plan on winning the title.
After tonight's bout, we'll see what happens. We get the W, we'll be defending the belt.
Wow. How powerful is that? Welcome, Buddy Clinton, to the Way of a Warrior Unbreakable Love podcast. I'm so honored to have you here.
Well, thank you. It's very, very pleasant and humbling to be with you guys today.
Oh my goodness. Brian, okay.
Well, I got to say something real quick.
Okay.
My prediction didn't work and yours did because the belt is sitting over your head.
Oh, look who's got me back.
I have to say this, as I'm kind of embarrassed, as I'm that predictable, as my wife will tell you, that everything he said is exactly what I did. And I watched that in the back and thought, crap, he knows everything I'm going to do already. Because he called it to a T. He knew exactly what I was going to do.
Yeah, it was and it was the opposite of what I wanted to do. So I told my wife what an excellent game plan. I knew exactly what he was going to do. I tried to stop it. I think I stopped with one of your takedowns, and then I was like, all right, here we go. And then I got taken down again. Well, I'm sure we'll end up talking about it. And I have a funny moment with Herb Dean afterwards when we're walking out of the casino, going home and whatnot. He talked to us for quite a while. And Herb Dean, he's repped almost all our fights in King of the Cage. What an awesome guy.
Yeah, shout out to Herb Dean. We love him.
Yeah, I love Herb to death.
Yes.
Yeah, but he did say, he just said, Brian, I don't know how you got out of now.
Keep more, yes.
But he goes, the reason I go, Herb, I was waiting for you to stop because my arm was going to break and I was just going to let it break.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here we go. It's going to break. You're going to break it right now. At the last second, I was able to roll through. And he's like, but if anybody was going to get out of it, it would have been you. So he gave me some props on that one.
I love that. Well, one of our conversations that Buddy and I had, all of our listeners, I mean, we just had so much fun off the camera talking about the memories of everything. But I would love for you to actually, I'm going to go to those who are watching via the podcast. I want to go to this photo, and I'd like you to tell us a little bit about this photo. So we're just walking in into the arena, and Brian is sitting down and filling out all his paperwork, and all of a sudden his opponent comes up.
Tries to attack me. And I was like,
it's almost what started. No, really, what was going on here, buddy?
So the backstory is you may not know, you guys don't know this. So we connected in the same airport, if you remember.
yes.
We both connected in the same airport.
Yeah.
To go to Tacoma or wherever it was we flew into for the fight. So the older guy that looks like Darth Sidious from Star Wars that's been in my corner since day one is a man named Pat Hardy. Pat Hardy is like my MMA father. He's like my adopted father. He's my mentor, Vietnam veteran, Marine, district attorney in Texas. Like his 4 sports Hall of Fames here in Texas. I mean, what he's done in his career is a whole 5-hour podcast for you guys in itself, even just his NOM record, his war record. So he's the one that got me in touch with Hoist. I met Pat in 98 and we were in the airport. I remember it was a Panda Express or something. We sat down and he's got this rough, rugged voice like R.L. Army from Full Metal Jacket. And he goes, hey, baby, there's some badass looking guy got all black on and unbreakable something, got a title belt and glasses. And I was like, really? And he goes, just walking around like a bad dude. Like, I don't know who it is, some kind of champ or something. And I looked, I said, oh yeah, this is the guy we're fighting. He goes, oh damn, baby, okay. All right. I got eyes on him now. See what he looks like. I was like, yeah, that's Brian. Because Brian had that stoic. Because again, if you're fighting, I haven't seen Brian because this was 2021. We hadn't seen each other, Brian, since what, 2009? 2008 at Guy Mesger's in Dallas when I was teaching there.
So, everything was great then, but now nobody knows what the mood is going to be. And I know where I was in my life when I got to the arena. It was like the preview that you showed, the intro to the fight. I was in sleep. I was bed and sleep. Thought they were just going to forget mine and ditch it and use archive footage or whatnot. They called me at like almost 10 o'clock. Hey, you got to come down here and shoot you. I'm like, I'm asleep. They're like, no, Terry said you got to come. I was like, I'm asleep. And they kept trying to kind of goad me, you know what I mean? To kind of do the whole say something. And like, I was like, I can't. It's Brian. What do you want me to? I can't say anything negative about the guy. I'm not Connor. I'm not one of the guys that's going to run their mouth. I don't have anything but respect and a little fear for it. What do you want to say? And you walked by me, like just kind of in passing at the airport when Pat was like, some badass walking around, baby. I don't know. He got the sunglasses on in the airport. It looks like a stud. I was like, yeah, that's him. That's who we're fighting. He's like, hot damn, okay. Oh, well, boy, okay. And when I saw Brian, I was like, because going in the fight, and we can probably go into that, my mindset was completely different. And being where I was with faith and life and family, just in a complete better place. I was never the guy that talked trash. I was never the guy. Just shut up. I went in there like, Brian, we did our job. Win or lose, we went home. We got ready for the next one. We went back to life. And I just didn't want any kind of animosity built up. You know what I mean? For somebody that I looked up to and admired as just an athlete and a competitor. So that's when I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go say what's up. Hey, man, like if you are that Terminator that's walking around the airport that has already like got my corner man nervous because he saw you and have no idea who you were, he's going to say what's up. Like there's no ill will with me. We're going to go compete and, have a beer with you afterwards. So that's all it was. It's just me trying to, say, hey, man, what's up, man? Love you death, man. Love you for you. I hope it's great. And I joked with you guys on the phone at my corner. It was, I got Steve Smith, Cesar Ponce, Pat Hardy, and Alan Lorenzo. And I came back, and I don't know, Steve was the bigger guy with the white shirt, and Cesar, they were like, oh, well, when you're done, like, make it out with your opponent there, and you want to, like, get ready to fight and not, like, by y'all around the cage there, can we, like, fight plan and, like, make sure we find, I'm like, guys, like, and I'm all, hey, guys, we're friends. We're just going to go fight each other. It's not a big deal. But they looked at it as I should have I was like, guys, we're still going to try to punch each other. It's not like we're going to try to punch each other, but we're going to do it respectfully. Man,
Buddy, you said,
that's kind of.
I'm going to lead into something with the two of you. Because our listeners, I want you to hear what Buddy just said. Our listeners know that we are pastors, we're in rescue. We're not behind a pulpit. We're boots on the ground. We're feet on the ground, just like Jesus did it. And the conversation you and I have, Brian, he literally just led into that, where you were saying, a lot of Christians, it's just like, oh, let's just talk trash, let's talk about people, but fighters are different. Fighters have respect, fighters have loyalty. And the way he described you in the airport and your presence, there's respect and there's a fear, right? What's missing in the body of Christ is like the fear of the Lord. When people really don't even know who you are or what mantle you carry, I'd love for you, Brian, to speak on what Buddy just said about, man, I have so much respect for you. I'm not going to talk trash, and then I'll get in the cage and we'll fight.
There's a lot I can say about that, because when you're younger and you've gotten a street, I don't know if you've been in a few street fights with your best friend or whatever, you punch each other in the face, but there was a line that you crossed, and when you cross that line, you got punched in the nose or in the mouth or something like that. But then that you couldn't cross that line a little further the next time, so you'd watch your step. But it's a little bit different as you're older and you're training as a professional. Like my mindset is, I don't want to fight the guys that talk trash. They don't deserve to fight me, or I don't want to fight them. I don't want to even give them a chance. But the guys I respect, the ones I looked up to, the ones I think I want to challenge myself. And if I can beat this person, then I've done something good. I've done something great in my eyes. And that's how I looked at Buddy. Because when Terry, when I had talked to him on the phone, he said, he listed some opponents, and I was like, nah. And then when he said it, I was like, yep, that's the guy right there. That's I like Buddy. It'll be a good fight for me because, and of course, I got to stop the takedown. And I knew that was another level of how to better my game. So there's levels to the game, but also, levels, respect levels too. So my respect for you, my brother, is off the charts before, even greater afterwards, as we share the moment afterwards in the cage when we, after you beat me and you're like, man, let's pray. And I was like, heck yeah. And this was the huge, this is the spotlight. This is what it's all about. We're both believers in Christ Jesus. And this is the main stage. We have the platform.
Oh my.
And guess what? We just went to battle. And, obviously you won the title and respect to you. And it means everything to me that I can look back, at that time and at those moments. And this is one of my favorite fights, even though I lost my wife. The reason, buddy, the reason this was so important for me is because I brought my wife into my corner for this fight. And it was something the Lord told me to do. And to bring nobody else. There was a couple, guys from American Top Team that cornered me. Might have looked like our team was even more badass, but I didn't even know those guys.
And that actually knew what they're doing because they've cornered fighters.
I told my wife, I said, like, listen, whatever you do, don't throw in the towel. Don't,
don't cry.
Yeah, don't cry.
He told me I couldn't cry.
Don't cry. And I said, I put a little stopwatch on her. I said, here, you're going to look official. And you did her job. Only thing that we were talking about, I was like, I wish she would have said, stand up.
Yeah, if I would have known, stand him up, stand him up, stand him up.
But I was like, dang, buddy's holding me down this whole time. I can't do a damn thing. He's neutralizing my whole game.
But I think that leads into, buddy, just a little bit of what we spoke about prior about, you kind of went off camera like, oh, I'm making sure my wife's good, everything's good. And, yeah, that's at the end, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think that
it's not my gym. It says Mama's Gym.
Mama's Gym.
So
hey, Mama ain't no joke.
It says Mama's Gym, so you know who runs this house. It's not me.
Hey,
Mama's
Respect. Hey, trust me, this mama runs this house.
No, wait. Okay, now we're gonna. So all of our listeners out there, all of you Unbreakable loves, listen. You know that
if I ran it, it'd be out of order. I'd be things would be all unorganized and whatnot.
Mama's Gym, not mine.
Okay, listeners, don't hold up. The warrior of a mindset, right? So those of you women out there who are listening, who are married to, we're talking warriors. We're not talking about wimpy pastors that do fellowship. I'm talking about real, listen, I preached a message on Moses, let them all out of Egypt, right? And he had to hear all their complaining, all their griping and complaining, but who took them into the promised land? It was the warrior. It was Joshua and Caleb. So this is the season. This is why I'm doing the warrior mindsets on MMA fighters and EP agents, because we are in a war. 2026 is without a doubt, without shadow of a doubt, war and recompense. It's the final cuts. So what I wanted to say was to the women, if you are married to men that get in a cage and they know they could lose their life at any minute, anything could happen. These are Joshua, Caleb. These are warriors that will see the enemy and say, oh yeah, wait, there's fruit. Oh, because pastors want the fruit. I'm going to get a little preach here and then turn the mic back to the fighters. But I got to say something. Some of these preachers, they want the fruit. They want the checks. They want the ties. They want the attention. They want all the millions of followers on their podcast. But let me tell you, it is the warriors that are going to lead all of the remnant, all of them into the promised land for what God has coming. You guys have been through hell and high water without a doubt, but women, respect the men that you are married to. We talked about this with KDI. He's like, Gina, you're probably going to get some fallback for, pushback for this comment. But listen, women, the men are the leaders of the house. Just because us women can, cook the bacon, get the kids to school, get podcast, just because we do that doesn't mean we usurp our authority. The man is the head of the house. Christ is the head. Brian is the head of this house. And I fall in line. But yes, there's a lot of stuff that we do. So women, if you are married to these kind of men from military, these first responders, these fighters, and you are struggling to figure out how to make it, just contact us because we're going to help you get through this because these men are needed in this final hour. So, Brian, I love what, he was saying at the beginning. He said, I was asleep and they called me to do the promo. And I find it interesting. I'd like to hear from you, buddy. When you're in the middle of being a first line responder, you're in the police department and all of that. When you're getting ready to be called into a domestic or a shooting, or what's your? I'd love to hear what's your tone, what's your personality, what mode do you go into? I know Brian sleeps before his fights. He stays calm before the storm. What's your mindset?
Well, let me say one thing real quick. And it's funny that you bring this up. You mentioned Moses and the Ten Commandments.
Okay.
Which is actually my all-time favorite movie, the one with Charlton Heston. It's actually the backdrop of my phone is Moses and the Red Sea. Of course, my main one is me and my wife. But when the home screen is actually Moses at the parting of the Red Sea. When I was baptized in 2012, it was on Easter weekend because of the Ten Commandments. So I have that movie bought on our TV and my phone, and my wife will tell you I watch clips or not all that movie about every other week because that is my go-to. Sorry, you just said it, and I thought how ironic because this is my favorite time of the year because of Easter, and it's that time to watch. Because when I was a kid, we watched the movie every Easter on ABC or whoever played it. So sorry, it's funny you said that.
Yeah, I didn't know these certain things. This is what's so cool about this. I didn't know you're a Cherokee Indian. I don't know if you know that I had Cherokee Indian in my bloodline too.
Oh, so you and Elizabeth Warren are kin to each other?
Oh,
no.
Pocahontas.
Oh, wait.
Not part of this one.
Pocahontas, huh? Okay, related.
Oh, he just threw a jab.
Since you sit down, you're not
Really? Okay, explain this to me, Poca.
You're not related to the Hillary and Bill Clinton, are you?
Well, my father always said anybody bordering our states, and that's what scared me because we're right up there northeast Oklahoma, right by Arkansas. It's like, oh my Lord, Dad, please tell me that.
That is okay. You two threw a couple jabs.
That's funny. That's funny. Elizabeth Warren. It's so funny because I can't stand that lady. But I'm like, you take my name off here. Take the name off. You don't deserve to hold my name.
Well,
I'll go back to your question. So when you get the calls, and of course, it goes back to especially the reason I love jiu-jitsu so much is because when you watch Toys when he first started fighting, they stayed calm because Brian and I had 15 minutes. When they started, there was no time limit. You went until somebody quit. Even in the old school Gracie challenge matches in the garage that you guys can see on YouTube, they fought until somebody quit. You can't go into it like a collegiate wrestler or a kickboxer, boxer that you got 3 minutes. Get in there, you get a break. You have to be calm because you don't know how you're gonna navigate through the waters, pretty much. So I remember this was 2015, the first shooting I responded to. My director at the time called me in the next day just to say, "Hey man, are you okay?" And my sergeant had got me that morning, and I said, "What are you?" And he goes, "You don't remember what happened yesterday?" I was like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Well, hell, you're fine," because I had already kind of like come to terms with it a day later. And we had the shooting, but then my other officers responded to a pursuit. It was an accident. We were getting accidentally shot at a field. And the next day he was talking to me. He goes, "Do you not remember what just happened?" I was like, "No." He's like, "You're fine." And then, so it's the whole mentality of jiu-jitsu of being calm and accepting the, kind of like Moses was on the mountain, like my screen there. You just stay calm, see his part, walk through it, have faith, you'll be okay. Keep your head about you. I love the movie Tombstone.
Yeah.
And when Wyatt Earp was about to go down there, he says, keep your head, keep calm, and don't freak out when they're walking down to the OK Corral. He's like, just stay calm, keep your head about you, we'll be fine. Don't freak out, don't lose it. Last year we had one, you said domestic. There was a domestic great officer. And I responded to, his name is Dusty Dye. We responded, and I was as we flipped around to get in pursuit of a car, I was lead, he was behind me. As we got the car pulled over, as they know, put your hands up. Well, he didn't because he just assaulted his partner, and he starts digging in the seats. It was the first time my weapon was drawn in about 5 years. Same thing. It is what it is. Everything went fine. I got arrested. Yeah, I mean, it just you kind of get used to it, kind of like Brian. When you fight, you get used to sparring. I had to help one of the kids yesterday get ready for a fight he's got coming at one of our gyms here in town, and you just get used to it. You get comfortable with it, and it's a mindset you accept. Unfortunately, some fighters and some officers cannot, and that's what some of them they leave the field or or fighting a lot earlier because it's like I said in the interview, you got to get right up here.
And that's why I do a lot of trauma counseling, buddy, with these people, and deal with those with the inception of the trauma. Because the inception of it's like a vibration, right? This is when it happened, but all of a sudden their lives are like beep, 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 beep. There's an echo or a vibration, and they can't figure out where the echo the first trauma or onset or trigger first began. So that's why I'm doing these amazing interviews, and you're just adding so much spice to this and to our listeners, because when he said, listen, you already expect it, you got to go in calm. But Brian, as so many in the Christian faith and the church, I call it, believers, at one little trauma, I wrote the book From the White House, Courthouse, Church House, God's Cleaning All Three Houses. So this podcast is no joke. These are warrior podcasts, and they're not for the churchy church and the propheliers and the put your prophet in your pocket and get a word. Like what you guys are teaching is going to teach Brian what he just said. When the Bible doesn't say if it happens, it says when it happens. How are you two going to help lead our listeners into what could possibly come in their family? What kind of trauma, what kind of event, from the White House, the courthouse, the church house? How do they navigate that?
Here's what I'll say. There's like an on and off switch. So Buddy was able to, during our fight, he's able to go back to like his strengths. And, for us, like we were okay before, like, hey, this is so much respect, right? Hugging each other, hey man, and having a good time. And I like what you said about in the interview when you said that, when I found out I was fighting Brian, it was kind of relaxing. It was different because we had already known each other and had respect for each other. So we don't have any animosity towards each other. But we're true professionals, because when Herb Bean says, all right, protect yourself, let's go. We're able to turn it on and then become friends instantly afterwards. It's such a amazing thing that non-fighters would not really be able to understand it. It was funny when you were talking about the preachers and people on the platforms, that we've had a few preachers come against us, buddy.
Just a few internationally.
But they're speaking things that their pocketbooks will not be able to, they will never be able to cash out against us and face to face.
Come on.
I mean, it would be taken out in 2 seconds. And it's like, you really have no idea what can happen to you, if this was really a real situation. So you keep running your mouth. At some point, we'll eventually see you, and I'll have words. I'm not making any threats here, but I'm just saying. But there's a difference. But there's people that you have respect for. There's people that you don't. But you're not like, we already knew we're going to be fighting soon, so there's no need to talk trash to each other.
Come on,
we're going to be fighting, and we punch each other in the face. And matter of fact, I need to go, but I need to. I've been thinking about this for a long time, buddy.
Okay, here it goes.
Listen. You have a secret weapon.
Oh my God, no, we're not going to go there.
You do. And I was like, no, you do. If there was an action figure, hold on. If there was an action figure. Hold on, I'm gonna grab a prop.
For those.
No, if you grab Zangief.
No, listen. Hold on. Listen. Okay. So Wonder Woman, I'm not counting Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman has the belt of truth, right? She's kind of like my wife. So, she just
okay. The lasso. No, it's the lasso of truth.
Oh yeah. Also, sorry. See,
as my wife pulled off Wonder Woman beautifully several years ago.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm mistaken. Right, the lasso. When she threw the lasso on people, they have it to tell the truth, right?
Come on.
It's kind of like when she's doing counseling, like people tell her the truth all the time. It's kind of crazy, right? But this Wonder Woman, let's just say, buddy, you if hair is your secret weapon, not your hair on your head, but the hair on your chest, because when you were on top of me, these crazy spiky little hairs were smothering me, and that's My face was all bloody because his spikes came out.
There
My
was
face.
nothing in the disclaimer about body shaming.
What?
Okay, there was nothing in the disclaimer about body shaming a Native American. So, we'll go off on that. So, one of my students, his name is Zach Casey. We were training at the gym in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and I got the mount on him, and my gi flew open.
Oh,
And I was flat mount there, had him smothered in his face, and he got up and said, "Damn it, my God, you got to cut that old man hair. It's just all in my face like tentacles." And then we talked.
Yeah. Spikes.
And I brought it up. Brian said, "I'm not the only one. You do that to other people. You sharpen it. So when you mount us and all that chest hair just smothers us, we can't do anything to us. It just,
Yeah, man. I was going to tap out, but
And just because of you now, I must now trim my chest hairs because I have
oh,
a body
there's so
image thing that you have got. I'm like, man, that's what Brian was talking. That's what they
that is so
no,
funny.
well, seriously, if it was an action figure, you just push a little button and the hairs come out. Attack your opponent.
Hey, maybe we've got something going here. We need to.
Buddy
Okay, any of our
What I said was, if you remember Street Fighter,
action figures
if
for
you
us.
remember Street Fighter, Zangief, the fighter with all the hair. That's what I thought you were going to go to on the.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're going to go to Zangief.
No, but seriously though, man, our fight was awesome, man. But more than anything, it's the friendship that we had afterwards.
Hold
You know?
on, 1 second. Kimber.
oh,
Yes,
do we have a
ma'am.
special guest?
Mom, say okay.
Yeah.
Go ask her first.
Where's mom?
In the back, upstairs, getting ready.
For all of our podcast listeners,
Okay, that's what happens when you have kids.
kids, real as a kid.
Is that your little daughter?
That is my youngest that has already done all herself up. She goes, "Can I say hi?"
Of course you
And
can.
I said, "No."
We would just love to have her come
That was
on.
my
If she,
youngest
listen,
interrupting us.
if she did her makeup and her hair, please have her on. The
Yeah,
the
like I
generation
said.
next that the
Oh, yeah,
generation.
she's been up there. Sorry, I was saying, yeah, she's been up there doing. She's all done up. She's like, "Daddy, can I say hi to this?"
Is this the one that wrote the card for me? Is this the one
Yes,
that wrote
this,
the
this
card?
well,
Have her.
yes, looks a lot different now. She looks a lot different.
Oh, daddy.
Awesome.
Well, this is where it's all at. Listen, family always comes first. And I really believe this is the demise of the whole corporate church system, the whole thing. And religion, like I say in my book, right? Religion has destroyed people, life and religion. And whenever you put, I always say religion is putting the principle above the person. So the podcast, we're going to take a little pause here and we're going to introduce world champion Buddy Clinton's. Okay. Well,
This was my youngest. This is the one that wrote the note that you remember in all the kid stuff with the little ponytail and the short. This is Leia. She's grown up now. How old are you?
Not a little kid anymore.
I'm glad you remembered because he hit me so hard I forgot.
oh yeah, we want to talk about that. Leia, how young are you?
I'm
How young?
lovely.
You are just absolutely beautiful. I'm so glad you decided
Very
to
good.
come on.
She
Yeah.
gets it.
She gets it from dad.
Wrinkles.
Yeah. Did she say wrinkles?
Yes.
Hey, this is so I'm going to put you on the spot for a question.
Uh-huh.
So your daddy is a championship fighter. What is the one thing that I'm sure you've learned a lot of things. Let me rephrase that. What would be the number one thing that you could tell all the listeners and the young girls? Because we have a lot of Gen X listeners on our podcast. What's the one thing that you could say that you have so much respect and that you've learned as a young girl from your father being a fighter and a protector?
A protector?
Yeah. Protect you.
As a fighter, what would you think something as a daughter that you really respect your dad?
Fighting.
Yes.
I also think it's really cool. I really want to be like a fighter whenever I grow up.
No, you're not going to be a fighter.
Yes, I am.
So she just answered the question her way.
Mhm.
And that was perfect. You literally answered my question. So what you said was, I want to be like my father. Because he's a warrior. He's a fighter. So you saying that to all of our listeners just now, I wonder how many of you out there would say, looking at your father today, or fathers, can I ask you, please listen. Would your children look at you and say they want to be like you? Now, none of us are perfect. We're not doing that, but we all make mistakes. But are we leaving a seed, a posterity, a seed like Abraham did for his family? Are we leaving popularity or posterity? And posterity is the seed. So what kind of seed are we leaving in our children? So I love that, Leia. That's beautiful. So I heard you're pretty good on the mat.
Yeah.
She's okay.
She's
She's okay. Of course, like I said, we were just training with Hoyce. He was actually in Sherman, Texas 2 weeks ago. And I can send you some videos from that. So yeah, she's got her yellow belt now, and she's getting as well to her. He's Uncle Hoyce. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
the girls, it is Uncle Hoyce. So they every time they see me, they just forget and run to Uncle Hoyce. And of course, and a funny story about Hoyce, they knew who he was, but they didn't know like who he was until they said his name on Cobra Kai. Season 4. And then after that, it was, okay, it's my famous Uncle Hoyce. And I believe her sister, when your sister went to school, introduced me, she said, yeah, my daddy, world champion fighter, police officer, but my Uncle Hoyce is famous. They talked about it on Cobra Kai. So completely introduced dad, but then squashed dad in the same sense there.
This is such a beautiful picture of you and your daughter, and to bring her into this.
yes.
Then, and I don't know if you've ever got to read my book, buddy, but you've never read my book, have you? I'll send you a copy.
Please.
But what you are now, I don't know if I'm able to bring this up or not, but before we fought, I know that my wife, and you were talking a little about some things, and then family things or whatever. And I'm not gonna bring any personal thing up, but our fight was very significant because it was 10 years later that when we fought, when I won that belt, which is behind my head over here.
Yes.
I was going through a rough time in my life. I was going through a divorce. I won that belt going through a divorce. And it was such a, I had to win for my confidence. I was losing everything. I lost, my ex-wife took my daughter from me. I lost both gyms. I went through a bad part of my life. Yes. And that was the one thing that was, I gave that to my daughter for, nice to meet you again.
Nice.
Good to see you.
Hi, sweetie. God bless you, honey.
Thank you, man.
And so I took that belt to Sheridan. I took that belt to Sheridan and gave it immediately the next day, to her, and she's all showing around her little friends and whatnot. But what you have right there is everything that I'm missing.
Oh.
You have your family together with you, man. That is such a powerful picture for me. And because I have so much respect for you and have shared time in the ring with you, it just makes me happy to see that you have your family and your daughter right there next to you, man. That's such a beautiful, beautiful picture.
Well, you made me cry. Now, like I said, my wife, Rosie, is my world. And that's the thing that got me the most was we've been together now in each other's life we're going on 25 years. To finally last year have a wedding, like in front of Jesus, in front of God, in front of family, in front of everybody, meant the world to us. And yeah, that was the greatest thing. Is we said that like the family unit, keeping it together, we always through ups and downs fought to still try and do our best, because we always knew like it's you, like this one. Trials, tribulations, sometimes we got to a point we didn't know if it was going to be, but then it was, and it did. And that is the one thing that that's one thing that we said this about having the wedding years ago. We said it happened at the right time because the girls are older. So part of it. So Leia got the flower bearer, and my oldest Sophia got to walk down with me and actually be a part of the rings, bring the rings to us. So that meant that us, and that's why we talked about. I said kind of the preview. I alluded it to when you asked about mindset for calls. I said you got, and I said that up here, like you got to get right in your head for everything in life, and a lot of that comes from Brian. You remember Randy Couture, and he interviewed one time. Randy said, if you make if you make peace with the worst outcome, you can lose a fight. Okay. If you make peace with the worst outcome, whether it's a domestic call, whether it's a personal relationship, whether it's a fight, if you make peace, and I fight Brian, I said, you know what the worst thing that could happen? I could lose my 5th world title fight. I said, the worst case scenario is I could be a 5-time loser. And okay, then all right, cool. But that is one thing, like say in my personal life, like talk about the family, that is one loss that I was never going to be able to accept, is losing. Lost it. Like that was one that I could never, and so marrying Rosie was like the greatest. And now, like I said, goods and bads, marriage doesn't fix everything. We are 2 alpha personalities, but she is still the love of my life. And yeah, that means the most to me, especially because my mom and dad probably don't want me to air this. Mom's on number 5 and dad's on number 6.
Come on.
And yeah, so it's all on my side of the family. And that's why as a kid, I said, I'm going to do it one time. And I'm going to do it.
It's awesome.
I said, I will never do it. One time. And because of above and faith, it came to last year. It was April 26th of last year. And it happened. And yeah, I've got like you said, Brian, I'm very blessed to have that unit and have that little one that comes in here. And I asked last night, I said, would you want to say something? She goes, what do I got to wear? I said, just, you just have to, she goes, okay. And then I just saw her face a minute ago and she was like,
we didn't give her a chance to ask for a card.
Oh yeah.
You didn't. Do you want to tell everybody what the card was? Since the viewers saw her, and you had mentioned she wrote a card. Why did she write
actually, it wasn't just, and I'm gonna refresh my memory here. It wasn't just what it was, is there is a place across the street from where we live. It was called Stevie's Diner. That's where we would go on Saturday mornings when Rosie was working. And we would meet with, usually it was my mother, Roberta. I would meet with her. They were, as they call her, Mimi. And it was me, it was Mimi, and it was my girls. And at the time, I mean, you're talking, oh man, Brad's been 5 years. At the time, they were both, under 10. And, when you go eat with your kids, they give you the crayons and the kid menu or whatever to draw on. And the girls were drawing on the menu. And they were talking about the fight still because it was fresh. And that's when they wrote the little note. They all wrote, and my mom chimed in and, wrote on it too. And so, yeah, I was like, okay, well, we're going to mail this to him. And then that's when Leia, the one that you just saw right there, yeah, that was her. She's the one, I don't know. Yeah, this is the message here, right? The one that you posted. But yeah, it's, on the front, it's the Stevie's Diner menu. But so on the back, though, was where my mom at the top wrote, love you, Brian, God bless. And then underneath it, my oldest daughter, who's still asleep, by the way, that's what you do when you're teenagers, said, I'm lucky my dad knows you. You're the best. You're blessed. God loves you. That was what Sophia wrote. And then that one wrote, I love. And then, sorry, you got to look and see right there. I tried to get, that's what Leia wrote, Sophia, and my mother.
Yeah.
And then here's the picture of that little one you saw. That's her putting it in the mailbox.
My goodness.
Right.
I mean, the example that this is, I hope our listeners are really gleaning from all this, buddy, because you've got 2, championship fighters, and yet you're fighting for your children, fighting for your marriages. What you said is the number one is this. I'm not doing this twice. I'm not doing this 5 times. And I think that's the mindset of a warrior. Listeners, how many times do you want to circle around the same thing over and over? The mindset of the fighter is, no, I'm not circling again. After listening to this podcast with these fighters, I refuse to face the same weakness, the same temptation, the same sin, I refuse. What do I need to do to get out of this cyclical thing? And one point I do want to circle back to, because I'm such a word person. That's how God created, right? Let there be light. Words form, words create. Words curse, words bless. And when Brian said I lost, it went into my spirit like a knife. I said, "No, what did you just say? You didn't lose. You went in and you fought." How many people would do that? That's not a loss. And you said something earlier, buddy. You had said that, you go in, you see how things are done, and you learn from that. And that's the thing is, fighters, listen, you guys, didn't lose. Nobody lost. When you get in this race called life and you're in that thing fighting, you are a winner. You're only a loser when you absolutely give up and you don't go into the ring. Whatever your ring looks like, whatever your cage, whatever your octagon is, listeners, please understand, everybody has a different octagon. Just get in and fight and don't give up, right? And so having said that, because of the time, I would love to hear what you had told us about, because I have a really cool picture here I want to show our viewers. But you had said the day of the fight, there was an eclipse. I'd love for you to tell that
Yes,
story.
there was a lunar eclipse that night, and beginning, I think it was the second round. I thought, all right, I'm gonna try for some. Well, just real quick, as I've told you guys, my game plan changed because somebody over there decided to put on about 15 pounds of water and didn't exactly look like a $169 that night. So my partner Steve Smith, the heavyset guy you just had in that picture, you just showed up in the white shirt over there to the corner. Steve was working on my strikes, and we're going in there. We're throwing. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna box with him a little bit. And let me just, because I have never been able to say this to you. The fight that scared me the most about you, Brian, was your fight with James.
Yeah.
Because I watched that fight, and regardless of the outcome, I thought, oh, man, he's not going to quit. That's what worried me.
Come on.
As I saw that fight, and of all your fights, that is like my Brian fight, because I watched that going, he's not going to quit. Like you said about the shoulder. You don't know that, but I always watched that fight even before we fought, because they talked years ago about me fighting James years ago, like in the mid 2000s. And I watched your fight with him, and for this fight, and I always remember watching it years ago, but I thought that's the fight that made me go, damn it, he's not going to quit. Like I knew then, it's like, pull up your bootstraps and get ready. But so going back to what you're saying, so we had this game plan. I was going to show off the hands a little bit. It was going to be great. And we get on the scale, and I think I told you guys this story off camera, that we sat there on Halloween, and my wife, I said, baby, I don't feel good. And Rosie came down and put the thermometer, and she's like, you got 103 fever. And I was like, what? No. She goes, no, you hear the thermometer. So I had a stomach bug, and I had dropped down to 160. And I got over it. This was 2 weeks before we fought. And so I'm eating everything I can think of. And she's like, you need butter. You need fresh. You need everything you can. You need to put some weight back on. So we get there. And if you notice in the weigh-in pic, I joke with Brian, I've got sweatpants on. I've got my fight shorts on underneath it. I've got a watch. I've got stuff in my pockets.
I'm like, what was
Watch on.
I had everything on to try and get close to being some, because if I'd have just shorts, I'd have probably been 162. I was trying to just, and I was putting stuff on, kind of like when Frank Shamrock fought Tito. Frank got on the scale and was all his clothes on by Tito, and Tito was, fall away because he was the heavier person. And I was like, okay, I saw you. You lean. I'm like, all right, here we go. We'll strike. All right, here we go. And then I was joking with Brian. I got to the top of a ramp, and he makes his entrance, and I'm watching the monitor because I'm watching. And I watched him take his gear off and get in the cage. And I said, that's not who I just saw 24 hours ago. And I turned and looked at Steve. I turned and looked at Caesar. I said, guys, he's not 169 pounds. They're like, oh, okay. He's put some water weight back on. I was like, guys, and I looked at him because I've got the James fight in my head. I kept going, that's not hitting me. I'm not letting that punch me. Like, and Steve's like, yeah, just throw your jab. I'm like, no, because he's got another almost 20 pounds on me. No. And so that's what changed my game plan. That's why it went from striking to old school. When Hoist first started, I'm going to clinch and smother and not let you punch me.
I was like, Lord Jesus.
Until I tried.
Well, so he did get a
Yeah, at least one.
Time out.
goes into the eclipse.
Hold on.
Yeah, hold
Right
on.
indoors. And I thought, we're going to throw the old front kick and maybe come in with this. And then Brian did this. And that hit me, and I still got the scar to prove it, that busted open. And my eyes shut for a minute, and I saw the eclipse like Jesus from inside the building. It was nothing but stars. And I said, wait a minute. Just grab him. I don't know where he's at, but I think he's still in front of me. Just grab him. And I locked up with him and just held on and but okay, I'm never, ever going to try to punch this guy again. And so that's when I stuck on him like sticky paper for
Man.
that fight, because he hit me one time, and that's what's funny. He hit me one time. The one time I tried to punch with him, he caught me with that jab and cut and busted my eye open. And I saw the eclipse from inside that building and said, no, we're good. Never, ever. No, we're going to. He can get mad at me. He can make fun of my chest hair. He can do whatever he wants to do.
I love it.
I'm not letting him hit me ever again, because that hurt.
Oh my God. That's such a funny story. And then I love this photo for those of you watching the podcast. Buddy, after you won the belt, what happened here with Pastor Brian? What took place here?
Well, let me just, you guys may not caught on to this, because not a lot of people did.
Okay.
I didn't really want to wear, yeah, you have some sponsors and stuff, your banners and whatnot, but I took of course, you can tell if you look closely, the outline of who those shorts are, but I ripped everything off of the shorts. I wanted nothing on the shorts. I wanted it plain Jane as possible. I wanted just black, Mike Tyson, black shorts. I didn't want it to be about anything else except me and except him and except what we're going to do and everything else. The sweatshirt I wore out, I still got it upstairs. I wore that when I fought Tony Harvey in 2012. It is a friend of mine named Frank Knopp. He's a retired firefighter. He had a athletic company or a clothing company called Christian Fighter. And that sweatshirt has been with me for almost 15 years now. And I wanted just that shirt to be seen with Christian Fighter. And I wanted nothing else to really, how people have, like in the UFC, you have to wear certain shorts, and some, they want to flashy. I wanted just plain Jane. It was about business, and that was it. So, like I said, going into that, I knew that I may have had another fight or two in me, but I knew that this was probably my last title fight. And that goes back to the whole Randy thing of you had to make terms with your mindset, accept the worst possible outcome and just go do it and let it be. Like, just give it all you can. And I knew that, okay, you're going to give it your all, and regardless, you win, he wins. Just like the beginning of the fight, you're still going to give the respect. Nothing's going to change it. You're still going to give the man his due regardless. But I knew that for both of us, because like I said, I mean, when I mentioned your name, I went out to eat afterwards with Trey Telligman, who's like a big brother of mine, Guy Mesger, Travis Luter, Hoist Gracie. All these guys have been major parts of my life, like big brothers in fighting. They remembered you. And I was like, God, he really is old. He is bald. No, but I mentioned you to Trey and then Guy, and they all remembered you back from the old Lions Den days, like early MMA days.
When they used to kick
Everybody had the respect for you. But it felt like you've got the eclipse. You've got something going on. There's a celestial event the night that we fight. We've both come from rough times in our lives that you could talk about. And if we went even more on me, I've got other childhood trauma things that I've had to work past and marry the love of my life and keep a solid family unit together that I will fight for until the day I die. And it just felt like the culmination of that night was like, some people could go back and watch it and they may, look down upon or less of the fact that two grown men are crying like babies I don't know about you, but I was crying because somebody was mean and cut my eye open with a punch. But it was, even if I'd have lost, it felt like it was probably the best fight of my life because I was spiritually and as a man getting to where I needed to be as a human. So that's why I enjoyed it so much. And then afterwards, it was like, hey, you need to have a moment. Because that moment, I think, happens whether you look like Mayweather with 2 belts or we both have a belt. I think that's going to happen because I just felt it was going to. It was like a culmination of a lot of things in my life. And like I said, you've got somebody else in there that is respected so much by me and even other fighters that, like I said, everybody's watching. Go back and watch Brian's fight with James. Okay, James won, but did he? Because he had to earn it, and earn it twice in that night because Brian wouldn't quit. So yeah, it's just that's what led up to it. Was like, man, this is just a very powerful moment. It's a very powerful cross from you. This being, this entity, this person that you're with, it just felt very powerful to be in there and have that moment and just that fight. It's just a great fight. I loved it. Everything about it, inside the cage, outside of it.
That's one of my favorite moments. Thank you for saying everything you just said about that James Fancher fight. Those are my 2 fights that your fight, his fight, are my most remembered. Because here's the thing, when people win fights, that's great. But what happens when you lose a fight? How do you deal with a loss and the replays of over and over in your head? Like what have, could have, should have done, to win. And it's not like we're a basketball game or a baseball game. We get out there the next day and start playing again. You got months of fighting is the hardest thing in the world. And that's why fighters get so much respect because they train so hard and you got one chance to win or lose and whatever in between. The story that we have before, during, after, there's a story there. Like the respect, we did the work, respect afterwards. This fight, this picture right here speaks volumes. Respect that you gave me to, man, pray over me, and boom, we dropped down. I'm not caring about the lights, the camera, nothing else but that moment right there. And then I didn't even know my wife was praying over us as I'm praying, as we're praying together. So that's literally one of my favorite pictures of all time. It's such an amazing memory. And to go back to the hotel room afterwards with my wife, it just brought us so much closer. You talk about your family. This fight brought me and my wife, the respect she had for me afterwards, to be able to see me actually do it and go through it.
Yes.
It's one thing to watch somebody from the outside, but to be in the corner and next to them while they're going through a trial or a major fight of whatever fight that may be, whether it be, public shaming on major platforms or a cage fight. It's still a fight. Everything's a fight. And to have the warrior fighter mindset and to be able to go through things in life with your spouse, with your family members, it brings you closer. This fight, buddy, brought me and my wife closer together than we've ever been. It prepared us for something huge right afterwards. And the Lord showed me something. It was not just this physical fight that me and you, 9 years later, coming out of retirement to fight each other. It was such a bigger, grand scale of what the Lord was doing with my wife and I, and what he was preparing us for on a different level of a different fight spiritually. The belt, it's signing. Nobody knows about this, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell my wife right now, she knows. But for me, I told myself, I'm going to take that belt, the one that you have above your head right now, your belt. Can you grab it for me for a second, buddy? Can you grab the belt? Yeah, the championship belt. That belt. Wow. I wanted to win that belt so bad. I told myself, I'm going to take that belt and I'm going to give it to my wife afterwards because, what she does spiritually and how many people she helps and the children she rescues and counsels and through sex trafficking,
satanic rituals. Yeah.
All kinds of bad stuff that I don't want to talk about because I'll get upset. And so will you, and so will the listeners. But she helped all these people. So she deserved, I was like, I'm going to take that belt. I'm going to present it to my wife right there in the cage in the ring. Now, here's the crazy part. In an instant when I lost, I'm going to be real as real as can be. You feel shame. You feel like, man, I didn't do it. It didn't happen for me. I didn't win this fight. But then the Lord had told me, like and the Holy Spirit had told me instantly, you know, the belt's being presented around your waist. I took my old belt and I put it around my wife's waist, and it was such a humbling moment for me. And he said, she already had the belt of truth. It's funny because I said the belt of truth with the little doll on there, but she already had the belt of truth. Truth and love is the name of her ministry, the belt of truth. She wears it daily. So you have a belt now. I have a belt, but you need it honestly at the time. And looking back at this, you deserve to win. I really believe that me and you were put together.
Amen.
And we have this unbreakable friendship forever. And you have this belt now. I really believe you deserved and had to win that fight for you. And not that I gave it, not that I relented at all. You won that fight fair and square, but you did what you had to do to win. And for you, my brother, you will always be a great friend of mine. The respect you have for me, the crazy memes and videos you send me all the time and make me laugh all the time. You are one of the most solid people in and outside of the cage. Oh.
And be able to laugh and have fun in life. That's why that is just me. And as my wife as Rosie will tell you, you joke too much sometimes. Okay. So that's just me.
No.
The inner child comes up too much sometimes, she'll tell you.
Well, having said that, I wish we had another hour. I do want to make an announcement. Everything that Ryan just said, that's the respect, you know, and that, and in life, which we don't see a lot. I know my brother's going to laugh. In the churchy church, we all want the big ministry. We want the kingdom. We want our name. That's what happens, right? But that's not what God wants. When you can celebrate the wins and the victories and the visions and the accomplishments of your brothers and sisters, you cannot receive blessing in your vision if you don't sow into someone else's. And that's what you two fighters did this whole podcast. Unbreakable Love listeners, I hope you've been so encouraged to hear and you've gleaned nuggets that you can put in your own pocket and say, you know what? That makes sense for me. That way of thinking, what they just shared, I can apply that to my life. And so, Brian, as you have had nothing but great respect since November 18th of 2021 and have spoken Buddy's name throughout our house and what a great friend and how much you love him and all of that. You know, I just want to let all the viewers know that you are going to be into the King of Cage Hall of Fame this year. So you are going to be inducted into the King of Cage Hall of Fame 2026. So congratulations, Brian, Mr. Unbreakable Warren. And I know Buddy's celebrating with you as well. So as we have to come to a close here, Pastor Brian, could you, before we do our outro, would you pray over everybody and all the listeners? And yes, please.
Well, you know what that means. If I get inducted to the King of Cage Hall of Fame, your name will be in there as well. So
Here we go.
You'll be having another belt.
Amen.
We'll be having two belts. So, Father, in the name of Jesus, I thank you, Lord, for my brother, Buddy. I thank you for his family, his amazing, beautiful family that he has, Lord. I just pray protection over them, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, emotionally, Lord. He is a champion inside and out of the cage, Lord, for what he does. Protect him on the front lines as he's out there working through the streets and keeping his neighborhoods and his city safe. Bless him above and beyond. And Lord, let this video just go to those that need to see it and encourage them and let them see. Let these younger fighters see how it really is to have respect for another opponent, another fighter. And you don't have to be all a certain way to get likes and views. You just be who you are, be yourself. And the Lord will highlight you himself and promote you himself. So bless my brother. We thank you for this time. We thank you for him and everything that he does. In Jesus' name I pray.
Amen. Buddy Clinton, we love you. We're going to give her outro. We'll see you backstage.
I'm Pastor Brian, Mr. Unbreakable Warren. This is my wife, Gina Guy Warren. Where can I find her?
Well, we are building a community of warriors and specialized mentorship. So you can go to thewayofawarrior.org. If you're in need of immediate rescue or intervention help, please visit us at rescueorintervention.com. Trauma counseling, our books, or you'd like to support our missions, please visit our nonprofit website at truthandloveministries.org. God bless you all.